So we are continuing.
No, he's saying.
Six.
We're live. Okay. Vivo. We are vivo. Está vivo?
Vivo.
And how do you say, are you alive? Is it the same?
¿Está viva?
Está vivas.
¿Está vivo?
I hope so. Okay, so we have reached the 33rd branch of the Chaitanya tree. Can anyone say who was the 31st branch of the Chaitanya tree? I'm joking. The 31st branch was Jagadish Pandit, and the 32nd was Hiranya Mahashoy, who Mahaprabhu, as a boy, he went and begged prasad, non-Akadashi prasad. On Akadashi, he went to them, and they obviously had some faith, natural faith. They gave that to Mahaprabhu. And now we have reached the 33rd. Prabhu Paduya Dui Purushottam Sanjay Vyakarane Dui Shishya Dui Mahashoy. The 33rd and 34th branches were the two students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, named Purushottam and Sanjay, who were stalwart students in grammar. They were very great personalities. And it mentions in the purport that these two students were inhabitants of Navadvip and were the Lord's first companions in the Sankirtan movement. And we really understand, like hearing these wonderful descriptions, there was so much reciprocation and so many intimate relationships that Mahaprabhu had, and we're just like kind of skimming when we're hearing the pastimes of Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, we're just kind of like skimming the surface. But hearing these descriptions, you realize how many relationships Mahaprabhu had, and how many loving reciprocations he had with so many devotees. We're just getting some touch of that. So these, for example, these devotees, we never hear anything about them, Purushottam and Sanjay, like who knows who they are. But we're told here that they were the first companions of Mahaprabhu in the Sankirtan. They were his students. Because Mahaprabhu was Nimai Pandit, he taught Sanskrit grammar, of course. So when Mahaprabhu gave up teaching grammar and became mad, showed himself to become mad with Krishna Prem, they followed him, which not everybody could do. Some of them wanted to learn grammar, and some of them wanted Krishna Prem. Vanamali Pandit Shaka Vikyata Jagate Sonar Mushala Hol Dekilo Prabhorhate. Vanamali Pandit, the 35th branch of the tree, was very much celebrated in this world. He saw a golden club and plough in the hands of the Lord. Purport: Vanamali Pandit saw Lord Chaitanya in the ecstasy of Balaram. This is, Balaram, he carries this, the plough and the club, the hall, Mushala and the hall. So he saw Mahaprabhu like that. This is described vividly in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Shri Chaitanya Ati Priya Buddhimanta Kan Ajanmagya Kaditeho Sevak Pradam. The 36th branch, Buddhimanta Khan, was extremely dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always prepared to carry out the Lord's orders, and therefore he was considered to be a chief servant of the Lord. Purport: Sri Buddhimanta Khan was one of the inhabitants of Navadvip. He was very rich, and it is he who arranged for the marriage of Lord Chaitanya with Vishnu Priya Devi. And he sponsored that. And then also when Mahaprabhu was unwell at one time, Buddhimanta Khan paid for all the medicine and treatment. He was the Lord's constant companion in the Kirtan movement. He collected ornaments for the Lord when he played the part of the goddess of fortune in the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. He also went to see Mahaprabhu when he was at Jagannath Puri. Garuda Pandit Loy Srinam Mangal Nam Bole Vishajade Nakodi Lobol Garuda Pandit, the 37th branch of the tree, always engaged in chanting the auspicious name of the Lord. Because of the strength of this chanting, even the effects of poison could not touch him. Purport. Garuda Pandit was once bitten by a poisonous snake, but the snake's poison could not affect him because of his chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Gopinath Simha ek Chaitanya Das, Akrura Boli Prabhu Jar, Koila Parihas. Gopinath Simha, the 38th branch of the tree, was a faithful servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord jokingly addressed him as a Kura. Purport. Actually, he was a Kura. Bhagavati Devananda Vakveshwar Kripate, Bhagavater Bhakti Arta Pailo Prabhu Hoite. Devananda Pandit was a professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but by the mercy of Rakreshwar Pandit and the grace of the Lord, he understood the devotional interpretation of the Bhagavatam. And this Devananda Pandit, he was originally anti the devotees, but he was converted. That's a very nice story. It's described here. We can read this purport. It's very nice. But that place where he resided, a Gaudiya Math was established there. The Devananda Gaudiya Math. If you've been to, maybe you know that place. The Devananda Gaudiya Math, right? Just down the road from our temple. That was his place, and so that it was named after him. It was Keshav Maharaj. He made that. He established that mat. But it's a very nice pastime. We can read this purport. Yeah, that's right. It was Devananda. He was in his ashram. He was giving some Mayavadi interpretation of Bhagavatam, and Srivas Thakur, he was present there in that assembly, and it's very interesting because there are different moods of the Vaishnavas and different ways that things may be taken. And Srivas Thakur, he did not really pay attention to the Mayavadi interpretation, so he wasn't bothered by it. He was just so happy to hear Bhagavatam. And so he went into hearing Bhagavatam recitation, he went into this ecstatic trance, and he started to show these symptoms of ecstasy. And these are Mayavadis, they're into dry renunciation. They can't understand prema, devotion. And so some of the students of Devananda Pandit, they started criticizing Srivas Thakur, such a sentimentalist, showing so much emotion. And Devananda Pandit, it's not that he said something himself, but he allowed his students to say that. So it was like he was tacitly supporting them. And so because of that, he made an offense. And this is a good point. If we are in a position to correct someone and we don't, if we allow something bad to take place, we are responsible for that. If we have the power, we have the capacity, we have the position to correct someone who's doing wrong, and we don't, then we actually were more responsible than the person doing that. Because they're just ignorant, they're foolish, they don't know better. But we know better, and we can do something. So if we don't, then part of that reaction comes to us. This is an important point. It's mentioned also in Mahabharata, when the disrobing of Draupadi took place, that there were so many senior persons there, and they didn't do anything. They could have done something. They had position to do something, but they didn't. Then more reaction came to them, even than the persons who were doing the crime, because they're just ignorant, low-class people who don't know better. So in the same way with Devananda Pandit, he didn't directly say something against Srivas Thakur, but he allowed his students in front of him to criticize him. So then he became responsible and the offense went to him. So then what happened after that, it was Rakreshwar Pandit. Let's see if it tells the full story here. Oh, it doesn't really tell the full story here. But anyhow, he somehow, I can't remember the details, but he somehow, his heart was touched by Rakreshwar Pandit, another associate of Mahaprabhu, one of his closer associates. And then as a result of that, he had some transformation of heart and he asked for forgiveness. Mahaprabhu gave him forgiveness. He prayed for forgiveness to Srivas Thakur. Okay, can continue. Kandavasi Mukunda Das Sri Ragun, and he was one of the persons who Mahaprabhu forgave when that's all part of the area where our mat is. Aparad Banjampat, that was famous as the place where when Mahaprabhu came back to Navadvip after 5 years after taking sannyas, that was the place where he distributed maximum degree of mercy. And in particular, what was striking is he forgave these persons like Devananda Pandit, like Gopal Chakpal, who had committed some offense against the Vaishnavas. It's more significant than forgiving Jagai Madai. The case of Jagai Madai is more famous. But in one sense, Jagai Madai, they weren't very bad. They were just sinful people. They're just ordinary sinful people. They drank too much and so on and so forth. That is very easy to leave. That's not considered such a big deal. But to make an offense to the Vaishnava, that is very serious. That is like a serious spiritual crime. So Mahaprabhu, he forgave these who were Vaishnava aparadis. That is more significant. That is a greater extension of grace, of mercy. Okay, we'll continue. Kandavasi Mukunda Das Shri Raghunandan Narahari Das Chiranjiva Sulochan Esav Mahashaka Chaitanya Kripadam Prema Full Kore Jahatahadam. Shri Kandavasi Mukunda and his son Raghunandan were the 39th branch of the tree. Narahari was the 40th, Chiranjiva the 41st, and Sulochan the 42nd. They were all big branches of the all-merciful tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They distributed the fruits and flowers of love of Godhead anywhere and everywhere. Kulina Gramvasi Satyaraj Ramananda Jadunath Purushottam Shankar Vidyananda. Satyaraj, Ramananda, Jadunath, Purushottam, Shankar, and Vidyananda all belonged to the 20th branch. They were inhabitants of the village known as Kulina Gram. Vaninad Vasu Adi Jatagrami Jan Sabai Chaitanya Britya Chaitanya Pranadam. All the inhabitants of Kulina Gram village, headed by Vaninath Vasu, were servants of Lord Chaitanya, who was their only life and wealth. Prabhu kohe Kulina Grame Jai Hoy Kukur Se Mor Priyanya Janra Hudur. The Lord said, "What to speak of others? Even a dog in the village of Kulina Gram is my dear friend." Kulina Gramir Bhagya Kahane Na Jai Shukar Chadai Dom Seho Krishna Gai. No one can describe the fortunate position of Kulina Gram. It is so sublime that even sweepers who tend their hogs there also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They chant the name of Krishna. Anupam Vallabha Shirupa Sanatan 18 Shaka Viksher Paschime Sarvotam. On the western side were the 43rd, 41st, 44th and 45th branches, Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa and Anupam. They were the best of all. And we can understand going through this list, it's not that there's some hierarchy being presented, like number 1 is the most important, number 2 is less important, number 3 is not like that, because, who's Rupa Goswami, who is Sanatana Goswami? They're like the principal associates of Mahaprabhu. Amongst the principal associates, Rupa Goswami is Mahaprabhu's, chosen successor, personally chosen successor. So, how high is the position of Srila Rupa Goswami? But he's number 40, he's number 44. So it's not that, Kaviraj Goswami is sitting down and trying to analyze the exact gradation. It's not like that. And we're not thinking too much like that either, I mean, of course, there's some discrimination, but we're not, we're not being too fanatical about that, Dharmadya Rupa Sanatan Bodho Shaka Anupam Jiva Vajran Jadi Upashaka. Among these branches, Rupa and Sanatan were principal. Anupam, Jiva Goswami, and others, headed by Vrajendra, were their sub-branches. Baleri Chai Shaka Bahuta Badilo Badia Paschima De Shabat Chadilo. By the will of the Supreme Gardener, who is Mahaprabhu, the branches of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami grew many times over, expanding throughout the western countries and covering the entire region. Sindhu Nadi Tirar Himalaya Rindavan Maturadi Jata Tirtha Hoi. Extending to the borders of the river Sindhu and the Himalayan mountain valleys, these 2 branches expanded throughout India, including all the places of pilgrimage, such as Vrindavan, Mathura, and Hardwar. Duishakar prema fole sakal basilo, prem phala swadelo gunmata hoilo. The fruits of love of Godhead which fructified on these 2 branches were distributed in abundance. Tasting these fruits, everyone became mad after them. Pashchimer loksa mudanachar, taha pracharila dohe bhakti sadachar. The people in general on the western side of India were neither intelligent nor well-behaved, but by the influence of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they were trained in devotional service and good behavior. Shastra Drishti Koilo Lupta Tirter Udar, Vrindavane Koilo Srimurti Sevar Prachar. In accordance with the directions of the revealed scriptures, both Goswamis excavated the lost places of pilgrimage and inaugurated the worship of deities in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu Priya Britya Raghunatha Das Sarvatyaji Koilo Prabhur Padatole Vas. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, the 46th branch of the tree, was one of the most dear servants of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He left all his material possessions to surrender completely unto the Lord and live at his lotus feet. Sarvatyaji. He left everything. His family, they were like billionaires.
So
and
who was that?
Raghunath Das Goswami. And they gave him beautiful wife. He was the only son of the Rockefeller family. He was like their only son. Everything, they wanted to give everything to him. They gave him a beautiful wife and so on and so forth. But
didn't they chain him too?
Actually, they were keeping him like with guards.
Uh-huh.
And then at one point, because he kept like trying to run away, then at one point, I don't remember if it was his mother or his father, but one of them said, maybe it was the mother, I'll just say it was the mother, said, why don't we just chain him up? And Gurudev liked this very much. And then the father said, we've given him a wife who's as beautiful as a heavenly apsara. We've given him as much wealth as Lord Indra has. These are the greatest chains in this world. If these things can't chain him, then what will some ordinary chains do? No, he said, for one who has received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what use is this? These are the real chains in this world. Gurudev liked that quote very much. So he left everything behind. And his example of vairagya, his example of renunciation, tyag, it is maybe supreme. He showed highest degree of renunciation amongst Mahaprabhu's associates. And it's so striking because he came from such a wealthy background. And he left everything, and when he was staying in Puri, then he was like gradually taking more and more, simply taking less, and finally he was eating the old rice that was thrown away by the temple, and even the cows were told they would not eat that. And then in his final days, he was just taking a little buttermilk when he was staying in Vrindavan. So he left everything to take shelter at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu samarpilo tare swaruper hatte, Prabhu gupta seva koilo swaruper sate. When Raghunath Das Goswami approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri, the Lord entrusted him to the care of Swarup Damodar, his secretary. Thus they both engaged in the confidential service of the Lord. He got really such high degree of mercy. Not only did he have the association of Mahaprabhu in the last 16 years, but Mahaprabhu put him in the care, the personal care of Swarup Damodar, who is the most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu. Soda Shvatsar Koilo Antaranga Sevan, Swaruper Antardane Aila Vrindavan. He rendered confidential service to the Lord for 16 years at Jagannath Puri. And after the disappearance of both the Lord and Swarup Damodar, he went to Jagannath Puri. And he left Jagannath Puri and went to Vrindavan. Vrindavane dui baira charana dekiya, govardhane chajibo deho brigupata koriya. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami intended to go to Vrindavan to see the lotus feet of Rup and Sanatan and then give up his life by jumping from Govardhan Hill. Purport: jumping from the top of Govardhan Hill is a system of suicide, especially performed by saintly persons. So this was what Raghunath Das Goswami decided to do. So because normally committing suicide, it's considered very sinful in the, according to Vedic understanding, it's extremely, you're killing somebody. So it's considered very, very sinful. You're taking things into your own hands. You're interrupting the natural flow of things. Your karma has come to you. You have to face that, but you're interfering with the natural flow of things, with the system of nature. So it's considered very sinful. But there's also descriptions of particular cases when it's okay and how it should be done. So this is one of them, jumping from Govardhan Hill. And also Paramananda Prabhu, he told me how he was planning to commit this type ritual suicide at one point. According to some description, maybe at a holy river or something like that. He was planning to, and then somehow it stopped. But there's some special cases and special ways of doing it, So Raghunath Das Goswami, he was intending to do this.
But we cannot imitate.
No, absolutely not. Eto nishtoi kori ailo Vrindavane, asirupa sanataner vandilo charane. Thus, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami came to Vrindavan, visited Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and offered them his obeisances. Tobe dui bai tare marite nadilo, nija chittiya bai kori nikate rakilo. These two brothers, however, did not allow him to die. They accepted him as their third brother and kept him in their company. Mahaprabhu Lila Jata Bahirantar Dui Baitar Muke Shune Nirantar. Because Raghunath Das Goswami was an assistant to Srup Damodar, he knew much about the external and internal features of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Thus the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, always used to hear of this from him. Anajal Chag Koilo Anya Katan Pal Duitin Mata Koden Bakan. Raghunath Das Goswami gradually gave up all food and drink, but a few drops of buttermilk. That also we cannot imitate. If you can live like that, then you can think about other things. Sahasa Dandavat Kore, it's very funny. You know, sometimes we want to imitate one thing, but we can't do the other thing.
But these are special pastimes. You cannot imitate these island devotees.
No, we cannot. There's some story, I think, is it Shankaracharya, that he was, I think it's Shankaracharya, he was walking through some village or town with some of his disciples, and then maybe I'm getting it wrong, but the principle is the same, whatever the particulars are. He stopped at some sweet shop, and he took some sweets from there. And his disciples were very surprised, because he was such a renunciate. Normally he wouldn't do that. And then they were going through the town, and then he stopped at some place, and I think it was like a metal workshop. You know, they use heat, like burning. What is it called? Like welding, and they use fire for that. And so then he took some like burning hot something, and he swallowed that also. Like showing, it's not that I was doing that for my own enjoyment, and you shouldn't imitate that, worldly enjoyment, but, I'm on a different platform. I'm just going to read a few more verses, finish this description of Raghunath Das Goswami, then we'll stop. Sahasra Dandavat Kore Loy Lakshanam Dui Sahasra Vaishnavere Nitya Paranam. As a daily duty, he regularly offered 1,000 obeisances to the Lord, chanted at least 100,000 holy names, and offered obeisances to 2,000 Vaishnavas. Wow. Rachidine Radha Krishna Manasa Sevan Prahareka Mahaprabhur Charitra Katam. Day and night he rendered service within his mind to Radha Krishna, and for 3 hours he discoursed about the character of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tin Sanja Radha Kunde Apatita Snan Rajavasi Vaishnave Kore Alingan Man. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami took 3 baths daily in the Radha Kunj lake. As soon as and that we don't imitate either. We don't bathe in Radha Kunj. As soon as he found a Vaishnav residing in Vrindavan, he would embrace him and give him all respect. Sarda Sapta Prahar Kore Bhaktir Sadane Charidanda Nidra Seho Nahe Kondine. He engaged himself in devotional service for more than 22.5 hours a day. And for less than 2 hours he slept, although on some days that also was not possible. Tahar sadan liti shunite chamatkar se rupa Raghunath Prabhu Jai Amar. I am struck with wonder when I hear about the devotional service he executed. I accept Srila Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami as my guides. Iha sabar Ch.Ch hoilo Prabhur milan, age vishtadiya taha koribo varnan. I shall later explain very elaborately how all these devotees met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 22.5 hours, Raghunath Das Goswami, he engaged in his devotional activity. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj, Jai. It's your turn, I think.
Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohana. Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda. Dhara Dhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Vata Raghunatha. Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunatha. Jai Gosai Kodi Charana Bandana. Jaha Hoite Vignana Shabishta Purana. Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibasa. Janame Moho Abhilasha. Jai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilo Basa. Krishna Nitya Lila Kodila Prakasha. Anande Golo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Padem Jaya Mana. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Saparikai Shishi Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Juki Jai Jai Vishnupad Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Saprashat Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Vinda Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shamakan Radhakan Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai Vishwavyapi Tadya Shakamat Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat London Chapter Ki Jai Tadya Seva Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Shri Bhakti Nirmala Charja Maharaj Ki Jai Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai all the assembled devotees Ki Jai all the world devotees Ki Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai Gaur Prema